With me on the phone right now, I have Joi Marshall, 1/3 of the R&B group Jade, former A&R for Quest Records, and Miss Do It All. Miss Marshall, welcome to the Time Machine.
Thank you. How you doing, J. May?
I'm all right. We finally got it right this time.
We got it right.
Yeah, we finally got that mug. We finally got it. Feel like Smokey on Friday, you know what I mean? So go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself for those that may not know you.
Well, my name is Joi Marshall, Joi Marshall, and I'm the original member of Jade, and we first signed our deal back in '92, and we had 2 studio records that went platinum and 1 live record of the first record, and that was gold. And we've traveled the world, had some great music and great times, and now I have a new solo project that is like urban inspirational. Okay. So it's kind of like R&B, but it's more inspirational, and with my own label, Day Entertainment, and it is distributed through EMI, and it will be out September 25th. So everybody go and pick it up because there's some great stuff on there. You'll love it. All
right. Now, how did you get your start singing prior to Jade?
Well, I sang, obviously I sang in school and whatever little shows around town I could sing in. I've been in a couple bands, and when I moved to Los Angeles from Chicago, I started doing session work, and a session singer is a person who sings the demos that recording artists get. And from just doing that kind of stuff, you meet different producers and people, and your name gets around, and when the Jade situation came up, they thought of me, and so I stepped to the table, and we got it done.
How was Jade formed?
How was Jade formed? We were introduced to each other by different production houses, so to speak. Initially, that's the Jade that came out. Jade, the original Jade is Joy, Angie, and Debbie. And Angie and Debbie were my friends and roommates, and we were sort of doing a Jade thing, but we didn't have a deal or anything like that. But by the time the Jade came out, that people met, the other group had disbanded, but I kept the name, and we just moved on and did that. So Vasal Benford introduced us. Vasal Benford produced Don't Walk Away and most of our first album. We were introduced through him and some club promoters around town, and we did a showcase and were introduced to Cassandra Mills, and that's kind of how we got it done.
Okay, so Giant was really the only label pursuing you guys, or were other labels trying to get you guys a deal?
No, we did a showcase, and all of the labels pretty much in Los Angeles were invited to the showcase, and I met Cassandra before because I used to do A&R for Quest Records, and so, having sort of watched her career, I wanted to work with her, and so when the opportunity came, that's who I kind of chose to go with. I wanted to be down with that camp.
Now, how did you guys land on the Class Act soundtrack?
Well, that was our first song, actually, that we recorded together. Vasal and Cassandra had a relationship with the people who were putting the movie together and the soundtrack together. Actually, Cassandra, I think, was the executive producer of the soundtrack for the movie. And it was sort of a way to introduce us to the public before we had our album done. And it went to the soundtrack, and then it did so well. The song I Want to Love You is on the Class Act soundtrack, and we were getting a lot of airplay, and it was doing really well, and so we kind of had to rush and do a record in 2 months. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That sounds very hectic. Young group, album not out. Sounds like another group off of Giant had the same experience, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yep.
Now,
and our song, I Want to Love You, was the answer song to Color Me Bad, I Want to Sex You Up.
I was going to ask you about that, because I asked Kevin about that when I interviewed him. He was like, I don't know, but you heard it first, folks, people. You heard it here. I Want to Sex You Up and I Want to Love You, kind of like the Roxanne Revenge type record of R&B.
Exactly.
And listening to that record, I just saw the video recently for the first time in years, revealing my age. But I'm like, that is a good song. And back in the late 90s, early 2000s teen pop phenomenon, I'm like, somebody could have remade that record and it would have been super huge.
Yeah. hopefully they will, you know. I think it's a really good record. I enjoyed being a part of it, and so, you know.
Let's talk about Don't Walk Away, which was like a monster hit for you guys.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Don't Walk Away, you know, I didn't know if you know, well, the song was actually written for Stephanie Mills.
Wow, I did not know that.
And, yeah, most people don't know that. But Sal was working on Stephanie's album, and he was sort of putting the track together for her. Well, we were working on our album simultaneously, so when we were about to leave the studio after we recorded a song, he put up the track to sort of get it prepared for whatever they were going to do before they presented it to Stephanie, and we heard it. And I was like, oh, no, we must have that track. And so we basically begged them to give us that track. And they hadn't written the lyrics or anything to it. Ron Spearman didn't. So Ron was in the kitchen writing the song, and Basal put the track up. And while he wrote the chorus, and while he was, finishing the song, we were recording the chorus. So it kind of happened, really right straight out the pan. Like one of those things that, it's like magic. It happens, and it all worked out. And
it just exploded. And I had told you recently that I was looking at YouTube, and on the Mickey Mouse Club, one of the cover songs that they did was Don't Walk Away.
Yeah.
And it's just baffling, came out in like around, 92, 93, right?
Yeah, that was like 93, yeah.
93, I was 8 years old, saw the video on Video Soul, and like I said, the fellas was probably sweating you guys hard, because y'all were pretty nice looking girls.
Kind of cute.
Yeah, got the little micros in there, three
going
sisters,
on, huh?
light skinned chick, combat boots.
Yeah.
Looking fly and all that stuff. So tell me a little bit about that, the male groupies.
The male groupies?
Yeah, was there any?
Guys are kind of special because they won't act like females. So you'll have male admirers, but they don't really do the groupie thing. They don't like scream and holler because they're, how you guys are. You're always trying to be cool.
Oh yeah.
Let them see you sweat, kind of thing. So we definitely had male fans and admirers, but they didn't let us see them sweat.
Right. So basically, they played the cool like, hey yo, you see that light skinned chick right there?
Right.
Yo, man, she fine, man. Yo, I'm gonna talk to her. No, dog. What you gotta do is, wait about 10 minutes, then go over there and buy her a drink.
Right.
Okay, now tell me the process of recording Jade to the Max.
Whew, the process, well, it was a fast process of recording that because, like I said, we had the song I Want to Love You on the soundtrack, and because it was getting so much buzz and we were getting requests to show up places live, we had to have something to follow up with it sooner than later. So we, cranked out the Sal Benford and Ron Spearman cranked out songs, back to back, so that we can get the album finished and, capitalize on what was happening with the single from the soundtrack. And, of course, we put that same single on our album as well. So
basically, it was
about getting it done quickly.
Basically, it was a crash course in Music Biz 101.
It was definitely in the recording arts for sure, and fortunately because Tanya and Di are great singers, and everybody can hear really well, and Basal is a stickler for vocal production. The process was really easy. His guidance and then their talent, as well as mine, made it a much easier. It made it an easy process, actually.
Now, at that time, there were other girl groups out. You had En Vogue and SWV and other girl groups. Now, tell me about that. Your guys are out, and then you have all these other girl groups out.